Hello, entrepreneurs, dreamers, business owners, and happy people with high hopes. Welcome to Cashflows with your host, Cash Matthews.
All right, good morning. Welcome everybody to Cashflows. I'm your host today, and we are here to explore some of those questions in life relating to business and love and entrepreneurship and opportunity. And those are the things that we call the good life, and we are all in pursuit of some part of that. And we're glad you're here. And, I don't know, do you ever feel stalled out, like things aren't working for you? And like you're just kind of straddling through the mud maybe a little bit? Have you ever wished you could just copy off of your neighbor and have the same kind of success that they might be having? And if so, maybe you could figure out how this business stuff and this life stuff actually works. Well, if that's you, you are going to love Cashflows. Our philosophy is fire, aim, ready. And too many people just get stuck in the process of aiming. And so we are here today to talk about pulling the trigger on those dreams that you hold precious, those things that you hold dear, and these opportunities that don't always come along twice in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So we're glad you're here. This is for people that have beautiful dreams, wonderful goals, families, situations, and businesses that they would like to improve. And hopefully a little bit of what we do creates just a little bit of traction for people. So we want to be part of the execution of great dreams. So welcome to Cashflows. We are fire, aim, ready. And this is a great show because I have both my co-conspirator who produces the show.
Yes.
And then we also have our guest, Kenneth Baucum, who we are interviewing today. So this is going to be
my personalities.
Yeah, he has allowed me to work the buttons. And I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, you give a guy button control over that, you do not know what's going to happen. But
do not know.
Anyway, we're glad that you're here. And actually, I was talking about you last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Me and my 137-year-old great uncle Earl.
Okay.
We had gotten out the Commodore 64.
Okay.
And one of our, I'd gotten an AOL disc in the mail, had an extra 10 minutes of airtime.
Yeah.
And I was pretty psyched about that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we did some dial up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can actually hear it right there. I brought a rendition of it, and got into a chat room, and had a buddy of mine in there, Stu Bob, and Stu wanted to ask you a question, and I wrote it down here just to be sure. And you have a lot of fans out there.
I have so many fans. You'd think I would open a fan store. There's so many of them.
Well, I think it's fantastic.
Yes.
Your favorite drink is Fanta.
It's some days.
All right, fantastic. All right, here we go. Stu Bob wants to know, hey, Kenneth, what's a guy like you doing in a nice place like this?
Yes. Today I think I'm just going to be waiting on my pet unicorn. I don't know if you've seen him, but waiting on that pet unicorn. He's running late again.
Yeah, that's been going pretty good for you, though.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, I almost lost an eye when he turned around too fast, but you just got to wear glasses. It's like science class. You got to wear your safety glasses. So.
All right. Well, very cool. Well, we're excited to have Kenneth here today. And Baucum, photo, video. Tell us the name of your company, where we can find you on the web. Let's start with that.
Yeah, Kenneth Baucum Photography. And you can find me on the web at kennethbaucum.com.
kennethbaucum.com. All right. And we'll call that out a few times today if we recall to do that.
If we recall, we'll call it.
And now you and I met at this thing called the Business Owners Networking Group.
Yes.
And if you wouldn't mind, share with us a little bit about that relationship with you and this community called the B.O.N.G.
Sure. Yeah, so I was introduced to the B.O.N.G Facebook group. I forget exactly who it was, sent me the first invitation, but it was a little bit out of the blue, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. Didn't really get like a message or anything, like no warning, no introduction. It's just like, okay, there's a group, it's pretty cool.
It was a cold call.
And I was like, well, yeah, cold call,
All
exactly.
Right.
So I went ahead, I kind of looked around, I was like, B.O.N.G, I don't know, I don't really do that kind of thing. But went ahead and joined the group. Took me a little bit of lurking and observing to figure out kind of what was going on.
We have a lot of lurkers.
There are a lot of lurkers.
Right.
But so I showed up at one of the coffee events early this year because I had just joined. I forget if it was late December, early January last year. So I'm a year old. Happy birthday.
Happy anniversary.
To me. Yeah, anniversary in the B.O.N.G. Yeah. So been here about a year and went to coffee. It was loud, as our events usually are, because we're so exciting.
A lot of people.
Yeah. And took a little bit, but I started getting to know people, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it, especially since maybe middle of summer. Really have an opportunity, thanks to a storm with no power and no internet, to start to get to know people a little bit better.
Yeah.
Real people face to face, and then and yeah, here we are doing 100 podcast episodes.
100 podcasts together, and
Yeah.
we're kind of into this, and
Yeah,
you became a podcasting kind of a guru.
guru.
Somebody
Yeah.
called the other day and said, "Hey, can you help me with my podcast?"
Were they stuck and they needed a
I,
guru?
a guru. Yeah, because I'm an expert.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously,
I'm a bona fide expert, so it was pretty awesome.
yeah.
And anyway, I told him to call Joe Rogan.
Oh,
I mean, how hard can he be to find?
how hard can
Really,
he be
like
to find? Yeah,
easy to
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Well, Kenneth, I want to hear about your business and your process
Okay.
and how you got here and
Sure.
how did you get started. And you're so good at so many things.
Oh, goodness.
And I want to hear how you how does Kenneth Baucum become a man of so many different talents and abilities? You just stepped right in and I'm like, hey, I want to do a podcast. You're like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you've never done one. So just walk us through the talent side of Kenneth Baucum.
Yeah. So, I have done a lot of different things over the years, and I think for me, the way it got started was just, if I had an interest in something, I kind of set for myself a budget. Like, here's how far into this I want to get before I make a call, to keep going or to give this up and move on. And so I tried all kinds of different things, just kind of over and over. I made a short list so I don't forget. But I mean, I
Okay.
started with all kinds of fun stuff. I did a little bit of computer repair, a little graphic design. Actually started up my own business several years ago doing that. Then I realized that part of being an entrepreneur was paperwork, and that was not in my allotted budget of time. So I was like, okay, we don't need to do this. Taxes and paperwork are boring. We have people to call for that now.
Yes,
So
we do.
but so that business didn't last a real long time, but it provided a wealth of learning and knowledge. And so just kind of getting into that, computer repair. So my dad was like, hey, you can't go fix someone else's computer so you can fix your own. So why don't you just take your laptop apart and put it back together? And I'm sitting here thinking this is a death sentence, but also why not? And so I did it in like 2 hours, had the whole thing stripped down, cleaned up, put back together. I was like, yeah, whatever, it still works. It's to me, it wasn't any different than like the old Nintendo at my friend's house. Pull it out, blow on it, put it back together.
Right.
Which, by the way, I did in middle school.
And
I
that
had
worked.
teachers calling me out of classes in middle school to come fix their computers. They didn't want to call the school's IT, so they pulled me out of English and out of math to come blow on it, put it back together. Like it's ridiculous.
You taught him how to do the reset button.
I taught them how to do the reset. But yeah, I just did that with all kinds of stuff. Computers, networks. I did that with music too. Guitar is one of them that I will admit was a failure. I spent $100 on a little learning guitar
Oh, yeah.
and a book and a CD. And I sat down. I'm like, this hurts my hand.
Oh,
I'd
so-
rather play piano or trumpet or something else, and
Oh.
which I do. So I messed around with music. Same kind of thing happened with cameras. Here I am. Same kind of thing happened with radio. So walkie-talkies, playing with CBs. And then that kind of morphed into ham radio, which is a whole other conversation.
Right.
And then what was it we were just talking about earlier? With radio. I guess that kind of led me into doing sound production a little bit too.
Right.
So I kind of help out with the church sound ministry.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I just little bits and pieces here, and it's like, okay, apply that knowledge, grow a little bit. Okay, apply this knowledge, mix these things together. And here we are doing a podcast, which is a little bit of all of the above. I did multimedia presentations. We go to church camp, we come back with a boatload of photos.
Right.
It's like, okay, cool. Well, let's figure out how to show people these photos, a little highlight reel. And anyway, it's just been for years and years, just that kind of a process over and over. Take little things, merge them together. Now our podcast is like, how do we shoot video? How do we record audio? How do we broadcast in a sense and just mix it all together? And
Right.
here we go.
Seems like we're doing the right thing.
So far,
By the way,
the lights are all lit up.
Sounds are working.
Sounds are working.
And what do we have over here?
Slide whistle.
And what do we have over here?
Commercial music on
Two dudes rapping.
Cashflows.
Okay. What's up here?
Oh yeah,
that's
that's
my
it.
favorite,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you to
Hey,
our
welcome,
studio
Kenneth
audience.
Baucum.
Yeah, our studio audience.
By the
is
way, I
excited.
like that word, walkie-talkie. That's always been one of my favorite words.
Walkie-talkie.
Hey, I'm going to
Yeah.
get me one of them walkie-talkie.
And some people can't do those two things at the same time.
Well, no, that's what I like about that word. It's also a description of something we can't do.
Right?
All right. Well,
Yeah.
let's learn a little bit more about you. I know you got a lot of hobbies, a lot of education. You said you do a little music,
Little music. Yeah.
and the guitar did not work out for you. They were just
That
stringing you along.
That's okay.
Wait,
No,
oh,
it's next
wrong
to
one.
it, the blue one. Yeah,
There
we
we
go.
go. Hey, I'm new at this part.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. We all learn.
All right. So, talk about your, like, I mean, those
Yeah,
things. Did
yeah.
they influence your career on any level?
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot of different things between hobbies and kind of like extracurricular activities at school and things like that that just kind of influenced me along the way. Back in middle school is when I really first started picking up music more seriously.
Oh yeah.
So I did the same thing everybody does in elementary. I played recorder, hot cross buns, whatever. Like just, and that the song name is so embarrassing. I don't even know what that song's about, but whatever. Play recorder. I had a great. Oh, I just remembered, and we still communicate. We communicated just a couple weeks ago. Raymond Johnson, if you're out there listening, this one's for you. That had us playing stringed instruments in elementary school. So we sat on the front row and did violins. Move over here, did viola.
Well,
He's a concert violinist up until recently, with Tulsa Philharmonic, I think, or Tulsa
wow.
Symphony Orchestra, something like that. And so he did that. When I got to cello, I realized this is my favorite stringed instrument. I will love this forever. I just don't have one. And did string bass. Like, this is huge. Elementary kids should not have something this big. But anyway, went through all of that, got to middle school. In middle school, I think what happened, I just remembered this. As you know, we put together some show notes of things we want to talk about. And now this memory popped in my mind. I had a pink plastic trumpet with like fluorescent valve parts. And it had like a kazoo thing inside. It was totally fake, just a toy. And I played that enough that I was able to convince my dad that I was like, no, this is something I actually want to learn.
Oh.
And so there started marching band, experience and / career, if you can call it that, for middle school, high school, college. We didn't march in middle school, but anyway, learned to play trumpet, taught myself to play piano in high school. One of the other things that I did kind of during those years was junior ROTC. So that's the closest I ever got to military service was some push-ups in the hallway for calling somebody a name or something.
Right.
But got to do some fun things there, spin rifles around in a competition, not smack myself in the face more than once. What else? It just so much fun. The band thing was super fun. In high school, have you seen The Office with Michael Scott
Yes, I have.
and crew, right? So they have
Big
the
fan.
Dundee Awards, right?
Yes.
We had basically Dundee type awards in high school marching band, and I got the Shutterbug Award because I was always running around with a camera. Of all things, in marching band, where I enjoy music, I'm running around with a camera. So I got the Shutterbug Award there, participated with a high school group on like producing their morning news, their morning TV show. So one of the local news stations donates and their actual TV set to the school. And then we had students get on there and read on the old tube TVs. Here's what's for lunch today, and here's what we're doing. So I did that. Anyway, just all these things just keep on kind of pushing me forward. And again, kind of like with what we were talking about earlier, I take little bits and pieces, mix together, and find something new that I love, and just kind of keep on going.
As technology kept growing, opportunities kept growing.
Oh, yeah.
And things on computers and the internet and the cell phone all became more available.
Oh, gosh. I still remember my dad saying, we don't need a computer. You don't need to do a report on your computer. I didn't have a computer when I was a student. And sorry, Dad, but we're going to talk about you a little bit today.
Right.
And yeah, that was the first of many, many years of school where every assignment was required to be typed and printed and the whole 9 yards.
Today,
right?
my daughter is 15 and has, they have to have access to a computer.
Yeah.
And they have to check online for
Gotta do
everything. I mean, it happened.
Yeah. I feel weird. Like I'm the odd part of millennial where I still had to learn cursive. Thanks, Mom. Still had to learn cursive, but also we had such a technology influence that like we just grew up with it, learned how it all worked, and just mastered it as best we could the whole time.
Yeah, so it becomes part of your childhood
just part
and
of my
what you're
childhood,
interested
part of
in,
life.
but then it becomes part of your career path.
Yeah.
And I look around at all this stuff we're doing, and man, I'm so glad you're here. Because if you left, I'd be like, all right, show's over, folks. Somebody turn out the lights when you leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the files are in the computer.
They are somewhere.
Well, all right. Well, let's have a bigger question.
Okay.
Let's talk about something a little deeper.
Okay.
Because the tech stuff is awesome, and I'm so glad that you're great at it.
Yeah.
But why? Why are you doing all of this? What's there's got to be a purpose in this beyond just making money
Yeah.
and being amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the very shortest answer, and I know we only have 4 hours to record this, so I'll give you the long answer too.
We'll be
but
in and out by midnight.
yeah,
easily.
in and out by midnight. The very shortest answer is, Jesus loves me.
Yeah.
So his teachings, his book, the most read book of all time, I'm pretty sure,
Right.
is just such a big, basis in everything that I do. I try to use that as the foundation for why I do things. And that kind of manifests itself different over time. Some years I might say that, because of his forgiveness, I forgive people because of how he, maybe a different year, it's because of how he helped people, I help people.
Right.
And things like that. So it kind of looks different over time. Maybe I redefine exactly what my why is. And I might talk about a couple of those things. There's a why I volunteered in search and rescue, which is like getting way ahead in the conversation for today. But, and that why was, a sunset or a sunrise, actually.
Right.
Something so simple to us, but for a missing person that we're trying to find, like they can't enjoy this.
Right.
Whether they're still living or whether they've even passed on, like they can't enjoy this. Like I want to help, whether it's them or their family, help somebody enjoy the sunrise again. Well, who made the sunrise? Okay, see, boom,
Yeah.
here we are right back at faith
I
again.
think it's great that you have a foundation. In my life, when I talk to people, and we all hear problems, and we all have
Mhm.
friends, and we've all had problems.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a foundation that
Yeah.
you can rely on,
Yeah, a
h-
hope.
how can you be without hope
Yeah,
and still try to sort all these things out? Because life can be pretty tricky. I know it's been tricky for all of us.
yeah,
And there's seasons of loss and seasons of joy and seasons of despair and seasons of gain.
yeah,
And and I just can't go to 38 other books to try to find the answer.
right.
Like, why is there suffering, or why am I struggling, God?
Yeah,
And so I need one unified spot. Consider it pure joy when you face
Yeah.
trials.
yeah,
I need that, and that gives me confidence in tomorrow.
yeah.
And
I love having that one authoritative spot. Like the other books are nice to help lend perspective,
sure,
realizing for all of them who the authors are, right?
right,
For those of us that are human, take it with a grain of salt. We're not all perfect, not all perfect, but but then we have the book to be able to go back to for that ultimate authority, and it's always nice to have that to rely on.
yeah. And since the dawn of man, every man or woman who's ever woken up and looked at a sunset has to ask, like,
Yeah.
how's this happening?
Whoa.
Yeah, even I don't remember the great philosophers, Plato and Socrates.
Right. So many crates.
That gets applause.
Yes. Yes.
It's my best joke of the year. Well, I appreciate that, and I think it's good to work with somebody who has the same foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think when you don't use it for business,
Sure.
but business is served better when both of you are kind of reading from the same page.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what we're doing right now. We're reading
Yeah.
from the same page, and
Yeah.
from the inspired. I hope it's inspired.
Yes.
Well, you love helping people do cool things.
Yeah.
And you stepped up when you saw this, and you went, you know what?
Oh, yeah.
I could be part of that.
Yeah. And that's really, I think for me, that's maybe a little bit more of kind of the daily inspiration side of it is we have the basis, the faith that provides the hope and all those great things. And then kind of the day to day is, I like helping people do cool things. One of the quotes, and I did not think to write this down so I can get it perfect. So I apologize, Mr. Rogers. But from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, he talks about, when there's tragedies and things like that, to a way to kind of help get perspective is to look for the helpers because there's always someone there. First responders, police, fire, parents, teachers, whoever, right? Someone's always there helping. And so, maybe taking his quote a little bit out of context, I kind of apply that to the rest of my life. I want to
Right.
be one of the helpers, no matter what it is. My good friend Cash, you may have met him, comes up and says, "Hey, I want to do a podcast. It's going to be super fun." I'm like, "Well, heck, I can help with that.
Yeah,
I know some things. I know a couple of things. We'll have to mix them together because I haven't done it exactly this way before.
right. Nor have I.
We'll mix some different things together, skill sets that we both have, and we'll see what happens. And we have a show."
Yeah,
Same kind of thing with computers and IT and corporate training and everything else I've done in all my other jobs and volunteer and whatever. Just how do
Well,
we help people do
let's
cool
talk
stuff?
about Anytime you have a journey, like we both have,
Mhm.
we're both entrepreneurs, we've both been through life. And ultimately, in fact, this is one of my favorite conversations. Like, who are your five most
Mhm.
influential people in your life? And I love having that conversation with people
Yeah.
about people. And like Mr. Rogers said, sometimes
Mhm.
people step up to help, but in your life, it's a little more intimate than that. And it can be your mom. Who are those people in your life? It doesn't have to be five, but
Yeah,
who
yeah.
who are the present company excluded?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
Of course.
I don't want to and
That makes
put
sense.
myself in there, but who are those people in your life that have made a big difference
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah. So I feel like there's so many, and it's kind of like you've alluded to in some of the other episodes that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and
Yeah,
so there's various teachers and influences that have appeared at kind of the right time that matches up with all these other things that I've enjoyed doing. Um, I really enjoyed the discipline and the skill set that I learned, not only from my parents, because they had their part of it that they played, but also in junior ROTC. Like, we have to have discipline. You got to march in a line. You got to do all these things right. Oh, by the way, a couple of years later, here we are in marching band, and I don't have to learn how to march. I know how to put my foot in front of the other and do it the right way.
right.
So it just things like that. I had a great trumpet teacher who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, Butch Thompson, that taught me how to play trumpet, taught me not to be afraid of the notes on the page. Like, dude, it's just ink. Just push the button down that corresponds to the dot and go. It'll be
Right.
fun. And it, there was a time where I wanted to be my high school band director. Like, so Eddie Sturgeon, great guy. Um, I he taught me some different things about piano and chords and music, and I got an opportunity there to be kind of the logistics guy for the band and make sure that things were packed up properly. And like, you've seen some of my equipment cases, like everything is
Yeah.
packed nice and neat. Well, we did that with music instruments, and packed the buses to go to football games. He was such a great guy. Um, there's a whole different story as to why I'm not in music education today and I'm in more IT kind of stuff, but wanted to be a music guy. Had music pastors at church that taught me how to direct music,
Oh,
how to actually
like
conduct
this thing. Oh, wow.
properly, wave.
How to,
So both the previous one and the current one, so Jim Ramsey and Jesse Becker, great guys. Just showing how to be great ministers and worshipers, and how to help other people do the same. In college, I had a band director. Folks in Broken Arrow would know him really, really quick. Ken Grass. He also passed away recently. I had the
the,
opportunity to do
okay.
this.
So a lot of these people were from your
Yeah.
youth as you're going through
Oh
high
yeah.
school.
Oh yeah. And I could go on with so many stories about Ken Grass because he was a lot of fun, but I don't want to fill up my whole 4 hours with just that.
Right.
But I had the opportunity to do my technology thing to help more of his family, more of his past students connect during his celebration of life. So we're out there on a football field, and I brought the cameras and the equipment to help record it and live stream it, which was a cool way to be involved there. And then probably last but not least, I know we're way over 5 at this point, but talk about a progression of not only fun things but also community service. So I still don't remember exactly how, but I randomly got connected with a guy named Keith Frank, who's an EMT out in Tennessee. Was getting ready to start his own ambulance service. He knew all the things about ham radio. Okay, cool. Ham radio. Well, that got me into storm spotting, got me into search and rescue, got me into volunteering with the National Weather Service, like all kinds of really
So
fun stuff.
you're
That's
like a
just radio.
storm chaser.
Well, so
Have you done that?
I don't like storm chaser so much because that has some insurance implications. Like, I don't want my rates to go up.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going there.
Technically, I may have done that a couple of times, but I do more storm spotting. Storm chasing, I always thought was a funny word because if you're doing it right, you're actually leading the storm. You don't want to be chasing it because that's where the hail is. But that's a whole
Oh,
other
okay.
story.
I got it.
Anyway, that's an inside here. Hang on. That's an inside joke for
There.
storm spotters there. But yeah, and that just led to so many different things. Event support. So for bicycle rides, runs, and races, like, just ham radio is a communication tool that connects all those things together.
Well, I've learned more about ham radio here than
Yeah.
in my
We were
previous
joking about
entire.
CB, and I'm sitting here just waiting for that chance to jump in and talk about ham radio. It's exciting.
Yeah, well, CBs are kind of cool.
They're
I
cool.
don't even know
also.
what a ham radio is. But
It's kind of like CB in that it is just by itself. You can talk without having to have a lot of infrastructure.
Right.
but it's different frequencies. So just like you tune your car radio to all the different radio stations,
Right.
there's some stations that are down here that are for CB, some other stations that are for ham radio.
Huh.
It gets a little bit more technical than that, but that's basically all it is. It's a
Cool.
super high-powered walkie-talkie.
Ooh, walkie-talkie.
Super high-powered.
All right, we're going to take a break, Kenneth, and we're going to talk about one of our sponsors for
All
today's
right.
show. And you know what? We're just going to freestyle
Ooh, freestyle.
this ad.
Do we need
Wait,
the music
is
for
this
it?
our music here?
The yellow one there. 30 seconds.
Hey, want to talk to you today about MFP, My Financial Plan. If you don't know where your stuff is, how can you count it? MFP is a portal, Kenneth, that you can store everything financial, your pictures, your will, everything financial. If you collect things, you can write it down there and at a moment's notice see your net worth.
Ooh.
And I was at coffee the other day.
Yeah.
And I went and I bought coffee for everybody, spent about $12 or $13. And I could look on my MFP and see where it had recalculated and my net worth had gone down $13.
But net worth doesn't account for the friendships that are made over coffee.
Well,
So,
when you're counting your money, you're not really thinking about it.
well, then there's that.
There's that part of it, but it's a program that anybody can use from any walk of life. Normally, this kind of thing is reserved for wealthy people,
Mhm.
and the MFP program can be found at Join MFP. We've got a short video if you want to look at it
Okay.
and learn a little bit more about what we do.
Yeah, that's
And-
super cool.
And that is how we support the show. So thank you for your support in that.
Awesome.
We are here today with Kenneth Baucum, Kenneth Baucum Photography, and he is the man responsible for bringing this podcast to life. And we got him from behind the camera. You should see who's behind the camera right now. It's impressive. We can't say, but we've brought some people in to run the camera on
Lots
your
of
behalf,
people.
and they are impressive. We're talking about his life up to now, but I want to talk about who can you help, because there are entrepreneurs. Like, I've been blessed to have entrepreneurs like you around me that we've been able to participate with to create videos and audios, and
Mhm.
we have audios of the books we've written. I mean, really a lot of great help. But I would think that the average entrepreneur would be greatly benefited to hire somebody like you to do a headshot, to do a video, to do an audio, so that they could have a piece that we would call evergreen
Oh, yeah.
that lasts for a long time. How can people engage you? How do you want people to reach out to you? KennethBaucum.com?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So for people in the Bong that know me and have got my contact info, then just reach out. That's super
Yeah.
quick and easy. But yeah, KennethBaucum.com. There's a lot of information on there about the different services I offer, some FAQs, things like that to help you get familiar. Or, of course, the good old contact page. Just reach out.
Yeah.
We'll get you set up with the information you need and talk about that action plan and put it to work.
Yeah, I think that if you're starting out as an entrepreneur, just having a section of what you do
Mm-hmm.
in audio, like a lot of people are using these podcasts, but also,
yeah.
man, a nice 1 minute or 45-second video
Sure.
about what you do that can be added to your web page, can be added to your email,
Mm-hmm.
and something that you could put in a sales proposal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And unless you're just not very good in front of the camera, and then they
So
you know,
that's the funniest thing. So many people are concerned about that. Like, oh, photos and me should not be used in the same sentence.
right.
It's like and it's a lot like this podcast experience. It's a lot like so many other things in life that are audio, video related, photo related.
Yeah.
It's like just do it.
Well,
let the pro behind the
I mean,
camera help
think
you
about
out
this.
and make it work.
We live in a digital world, and
Oh yeah,
somebody told me the other day that YouTube is one of the second or third largest search engines
yeah.
when people are putting things. So if you're looking for, Kentucky plumbers,
Of course.
you go put Kentucky plumber on your
There you go.
video, and I think you're going to show up.
Yeah, yeah. People will pop up there, and your viewers will either or both learn about your business, learn how to do the thing, or realize. Well, the third option is realize they don't want to touch that at all,
Right.
and then go back and learn about your business so that you can do the thing.
Yeah, well, we love what you're doing. We're glad to be partnered
Yeah.
with you in this endeavor.
Thank you.
So you did some things earlier that I thought were interesting.
Okay.
You said that you bought like the news set from a local TV station, and kids got to
Oh,
read
yeah.
the lunch and the menu.
Yeah.
So my question is, did any of those kids take that any further? Because my brother was
Oh,
one of those
man.
guys and went on to become a news reporter.
That was. I don't honestly know the answer to that. I feel like they could have. So there's kind of a couple of different things that kind of happened. I almost said around the same time, and really the same time would be in the first 18 years of my life. But so it was in high school, middle school. Middle school is when the TV station donated the set to the school.
Oh, okay.
So that's how that part worked. And I wasn't the popular kid. I'm actually still surprised to this day how many people are like, "Hey, Kenneth, how's it going?" I'm like, "I don't know you."
Yeah.
But hi.
Yes.
Smile and wave.
That's where you learn the word buddy. Hey,
Yeah,
buddy.
hey, buddy. So yeah, I mean, so I don't know for sure. I expect that some of them did. I mean, I think based on the fact that the digital age we're in is as digital as it is, that it probably just means some of those people have gone on to do their thing.
Right.
But the other one, kind of thinking about, the whole TV thing, I think probably my first experience with TV was like elementary school. I got randomly pulled aside at the end of school and they said, "Hey, can you record tomorrow's lunch menu? We're going to play that on the air." I forget what channel. Channel 6, Channel 8.
So you're on the news.
I'm like, on the news. I'm on the news. As a kid, standing there awkwardly, like shirt half tucked in, whatever it was. I'm sure my mom thinks it looked better than that. But hair all askew. That's a word I did not know at the time. But yeah, read the school lunch menu. And I had my 15 seconds of fame there, played 7 a.m. the next morning or whenever it was. So that was kind of a fun little deal.
So tell me about your one and only wasp sting. I've heard stories.
So it's kind of funny. Well, funny, not funny. So there's a lot of people experience a lot of different, just to be generic, tragedies in life, difficulties, injuries, things like that. I'm sure you can attest to, BMX bike injuries of all sorts. Yeah. So I've been fortunate that I haven't had any broken bones and I've only had one wasp sting. And it wasn't even for anything fun. It wasn't like I was poking a nest or anything. I'm in my house, a nice house at the time. It was built in 1928, so it's got some character and some years on it. But I'm inside the house. It's not like the windows are open or anything. And there's apparently I'm getting clothes out of my dresser on a Saturday morning, lean my hand over, and I land on a wasp. Like I have my Legos scattered all over because apparently I didn't keep my room clean. Lego all over the place. Got stung by a wasp.
Right? Was it tragic?
It was super tragic.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. I also have a little science kit that had like electronic stuff and chemistry stuff and all kinds of fun. This is the closest I ever got. Hopefully the statute of limitations has passed on like animal abuse. I think it was not a cat or a dog, but a wasp. I found this stupid wasp and I put him in a jar and I started filling everything from the science kit into that jar. And I'm like, "You will die. You will die for these sins you have committed." So that was my only abuse story was that one wasp. I've been nice to everything else, as far as I know, in my life.
I mean, that's what wasps are there to do.
That's what wasps are there.
They're there to sting you.
I feel like we kind of get a pass on that one. Spiders and wasps probably get a pass.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes, but.
All right. Any other random stories you want to share with us? Because you've got some good ones. You've had a very rich and full life.
So I actually thought of this one earlier when we were recording something different because we started talking about walkie-talkies.
Walkie-talkie.
And it was so fun. And honestly, probably around the same time as the wasp story happened in my life. Walkie-talkies. So I had a pair of walkie-talkies. I happened to be, again, not the popular kid. So I had both of them in my hands. And I didn't have a friend holding one. I have both of them. I turn them on. I'm messing around. And I heard the phone ring. I was like, okay, no big deal. The phone rings. Mom answers the phone, and all of a sudden, I can hear the conversation. Okay. It's 2024. Like, we all understand cybersecurity. Like, it's a big deal. We should not be listening in on phone conversations. And here I am with a walkie-talkie as a young kid listening to my dentist try to confirm my appointment. And I pushed the button. I could talk to him. So whatever the cordless phone that we were using apparently was on just the right. It hops around to find a clean frequency, and I was there. It was apparently clean enough. I bathed that day or something. Funny. But anyway, yeah, it was kind of wild.
So you stole the radio frequency.
More or less
pirated. Let's use that.
Yeah, sure. Let's make it sound worse than it is. I violated a series of FCC rules and pirated this frequency away from it. Anyway, but it was just one of those things. I guess they didn't secure those cordless phones too
Yeah.
much in the
Can,
early days.
can I throw a story on top of that?
Do it.
I was in my office, and my office overlooked this really nice pond.
Okay.
It was part of the building, and we were the first ones to move there. And I had an electronic, remote control boat,
Oh,
and I went on and played boats every day.
fun.
I just enjoyed it, and that's the kind of dude I am. I'm trying to run a major financial corporation, and I
Yeah.
slipped out every day to play boats.
Cool.
Well, then some neighbors move in, a big high-tech company, and they see me playing boats. About a month later, they're having the such and such company regatta, which is a boating event with
Yeah.
remote controlled boats. And I'm like, I was offended. They didn't invite me. And boats was my game.
Rude.
And I'm sitting in my office kind of looking out the window.
We have
And
a
I'm
sound
like,
effect for that.
yeah, yes, we do.
They
And
didn't invite me.
they didn't invite me. Yeah, there's a lot of things I didn't get invited to. But I'm like, I wonder if my remote control that's right here might affect one of those boats. It was the yellow one.
So specific. It was the yellow one.
Well, I'm back there watching, and everybody, with their man buns, and they're doing all their things, and they're playing boats, and I'm like, oh yeah, and man, sure enough, it was the yellow one. It was the closest boat to me, and the guy's driving it, and then I start messing with it, and I just make it go around in circles, and you can see him doing some of this stuff, and then I let it go, and it came back to him, and he looks at it, and he adjusts it, and he sends it out again, and I just drive it into the wall. High speed, full speed, drive it into the wall. And he's running around doing this, and then I let it go again. And then he plays boats for 5 minutes and is having fun going in and out of the little cones. Then it took a hard right turn back into the wall. So
That's great.
I too have confiscated the whatever.
My dad did remote control boats for a little bit too. I never really got to get into it, but they were gas powered engine, like balsa wood construction.
Oh, those are the good.
And he was very into woodworking, which I did a very tiny bit of, into woodworking, and yeah, so it was a remote control boat with all that stuff. That was kind of a fun deal.
Thank you for letting me confess.
Yeah,
I've been needing to get that off my chest for a while.
Since we're doing that, we're in this small confessional here and kind of letting some things out. Apparently, I did something kind of similar to that, but instead of boats, it was computers.
Oh,
and I had a job. This coworker, I'm not going to name their name. They know who they are, and they know this. They know this story. This has all come to light already, but yeah, I got tired of how much they were on Facebook at work, and I wrote a script that every time the web browser was open and the title of the page had the word Facebook, it would send a keyboard shortcut to close the browser window. And so the script just runs in the background. I replaced, for all the nerds out there, here's what I did. I replaced the actual web browser executable. It was, Internet Explorer at the time, sorry. iExplore.exe, I renamed it iExplore2, and I made my file iExplore. So I launched the web browser so that my script was always running anytime the web browser was asked for. And then that script said, hey, if you see this, close it. And so, oh man, he got so mad.
That is brutal.
It took a few days. It took a few days to figure it out. It got bad enough they actually went to the company IT to start figuring it out. And that was before they even had a big IT team. And so when I saw that it got that far, I snuck over there and fixed the problem.
Kind of erased it.
I kind of erased it. Yeah. And then we had a little conversation later, and I was like, okay, I was having fun. That was me.
Oh, that is brutal.
Oh man, it was so much fun.
That is awesome, man. So that you've got a skill set.
Yeah, it's a little bit nerdy.
I will find you.
Yes. It was Liam Neeson, but for Facebook tabs in the browser.
That's one of the best stories ever.
And I will kill you.
Yes. Well, I will find you, and I will mess up your computer.
Yeah. Oh,
that's pretty awesome. Well, Kenneth, business is hard and life is hard, and business is beautiful and life is beautiful.
It is.
And somewhere in the middle of all that, we all, as business owners, strive to keep balance.
Yep. How
do you do it?
So, I kind of mix a couple of theories together here, all at the same time. One of the working theories that contributes to how I make balance is if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And the idea behind that is that it's more play than work.
Right.
But we also know that we're working 80 hours a week to avoid working 40 hours a week as entrepreneurs.
Brother.
So those two things are fighting each other, but I feel like that's okay. Let them fight.
Yeah.
Cage match, have a good time. So for me, creating balance, it's I probably should do a better job of some of the time blocking, and I think we heard earlier today about respecting our own time.
Yeah, that was a great talk.
In one of the other episodes, things like that. I could probably do better with that. It's too easy for me to have something blocked on my calendar, just drag it to another spot, be like, yeah, whatever. I procrastinate, I guess,
Right.
is what the kids are calling it now. Um, but I do feel like I set healthy boundaries when it comes to. There are some times where I'm at home and I'm not working.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about when we want to record the podcast. I've talked with other people about when I want to do photos, and that answer is a resounding not on Sunday.
Yeah, not on Sunday. And we
Very
all,
rarely, like at the end of this month, I'll have to drive on Sunday in order to get to a particular event that I'm doing. But for the most part, I don't work on Sunday. I try not to work too much on Wednesday nights, but sometimes I do, and then that way I can be at church. Takes us right back to the faith conversation. That's
Right.
an important part. I got to keep getting
right,
recharged. there.
reconnect,
And recharge.
locked in with your family.
Yeah, locked in. So yeah, just working on finding that balance. It's just my wife and I at home, no kids at this time. When we do talk about kids, we usually jokingly say our kids' names are Apple and Samsung and Canon, and just name all our
Well,
electronics.
you don't
really.
have any kids, but Carol does. Sorry. Wait.
Hey, Carol, if you're listening to this, go ahead and turn off the podcast now. But no, it's. Oh, there's the dial-up.
I'm terrible at
Just
this.
doing all of them. You want me to turn the volume up so you can hear them better?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
There we go.
there's the
Okay, we
jokes.
got it. Man,
There's the jokes right there.
See, that's why a professional needs to be touching this.
But we have a good time, and I try to find that balance. I feel like responding to a text or an email every once in a while is okay when it's kind of after hours, but it just depends on who it is and what that project is. And
All right, Kenneth, we're going to wrap up with a golden nugget, something that you can
Ooh.
tell a business owner, an entrepreneur, a spouse,
Yep.
somebody working on something meaningful. What would you tell us, sir?
At the risk of Nike's lawyers looking for me, I feel like just do it.
Just
Is
freaking do
pretty
it.
much
Yeah.
is pretty much it. Now to expand on that, it's if I was waiting to be in the right financial position and feel like I had the right tools and the right time and whatever to be able to start my business, I still don't know if I would have actually completely pulled the trigger on going full time.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of help in that decision-making process, via a former employer that decided they were going to go a different direction. We split up amicably. It's not a big deal, but and even that's a story of kind of hope and redemption too. There's no hard feelings there, but it got me kicked off on the path to entrepreneurship. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess we have to make this work. Some of
Yeah.
our other guests have talked about like there's not room for failure. One of our guests, mentioned this as well, and it's a sentiment that I share. That yeah, I can go get a job. I've got marketable skills that I can figure out a way to be employed. But let's see how far we can take this entrepreneurship first.
Amen. Well, I hope that this is a part of your
It's fun.
thing you look back on and we're having a good time. We are here
Oh,
today
yeah.
with Kenneth Baucum and KennethBaucum.com for all of your video, photography, and podcast needs. Kenneth, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Another great show, and I think that's going to be a wrap for today. And we are thankful for our guests and our sponsors who make this show relevant and keep us out there in the world, and we're very thankful for that. And it can be crazy out there trying to keep everything together, and sometimes you just need somebody to lift you up and somebody to help you build that dream and fuel you on to the next stop. And we hope that all of these amazing people that are on our show provide you some of that value, and you certainly have done that today. So let's go out tomorrow and let's be nice to each other. Let's do the right thing for the people around us. And let's do one more thing. Let's forgive somebody who just doesn't deserve it. Because really, at the end of the day, isn't that the best part of this life, that we've had that extended to us? And we are forgiven, so let's do the same to others. And to our three buddies, Dennis, Stu Bob, and Hink Dog, down at the Quick Trip, for always liking our posts. We are on our way. Jerky is half off and Red Bull's on sale, and we are jumping in the truck. That's our show today, and thank you for being part of Cashflows.
That's our show for today. Stay tuned for another riveting edition of Cashflows.